Welcome to the April edition of Builder Town Hall. I'm Meredith Oliver, and I'm with Meredith Communications. We do home builder marketing, mostly digital marketing. So we focus on building builder websites, SEO, social media. If it's digital, we love it. We do it, and we can't imagine doing anything else. But on the either first or sometimes second, depending on how it falls, Friday of the month, I am the co-host of Builder Town Hall. And you'll meet my other co-hosts here in just a few minutes. But this is my passion project. We love our clients and we love digital marketing, but Builder Town Hall is we love Builder Town Hall Day. It's always a great day when we get to see all of our friends in the industry. I say I can see you. I see you in live chat. And one of the things about Builder Town Hall that is special and I think a little different is we don't do slides. This is not a webinar. This is a live stream, and we love and encourage and want you to light up the chat. So please get in there. You can talk to each other, say hello. If you see somebody in chat that you know, go ahead, network. Please ask us questions, comment on what we're asking us, challenge us, redirect us if there's something else or another take or spin that you want or need to hear. We want to give you what you need. So we're here for you. And that's why it's such an awesome passion project for us. So we have a very special guest today. And I'm going to introduce her to you in just a few minutes and kick off our main featured guest interview and topic. But before I do that, and if you're still coming in, please go ahead and introduce yourself in chat. We will love that. Please continue to do that while I'm doing that. But first, I'm going to do a little bit of content for you based on what I am talking to clients about the most. This is a conversation I am having multiple times a week. So I thought we would just have it together as a group so that maybe this might help some of you as well. And I know that some of our clients are listening in as well, and I might not have had a chance to meet with you yet. So here we go. I'm going to cover a lot of information, a lot of bases with one talk right here. And of course, if you are one of our clients, when we do have our meeting, we can go into specifics on your instance. But for now, we're going to talk about this. So I'm going to give you, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to give you 4 things to do when you feel like or you see that your online leads have either slowed considerably or maybe come to a stop or dried up. And this could be for a particular community that you're looking at. It could be overall from your website overall for a division, or it could be community specific or product specific. So you kind of, in your mind, if this is going on, I want you to think of the particular instance where you might could use this and kind of have that case study in your mind as I'm talking. Okay. All right. So the first thing you're going to do, and the easiest thing, number 1, is have you tested the forms? So forms, number 1. We all have these website gremlins that just, I don't know what happens exactly, but they break things. And suddenly what was working yesterday is not working today. And this happens on our website forms. So you may have changed something on the website over here on point A, not expecting it to change point B, which is the form, but it did. And it either broke it or is causing an error, or maybe it's changed where it's going in the CRM. So you're just not seeing where the leads are coming in. But number 1, test the forms. That is the first thing we're going to do if you contact us and say, hey, this has slowed considerably or stopped. The first thing we're going to do is go, have you tested the form? Okay, let's assume the form is working and you've tested it. You're like, yes, it comes in. It's just Meredith. No one is filling them out. Okay. So then the next thing would be to look at the form itself. So we recently took a website form from maybe 10 or 11 fields down to 3. Literally name, email, optional phone number. Conversion rate went from 0 to 22 in 30 days. So I would tell you, strip your forms down in terms of how much information you're asking for to the bare minimum. Now, I know we want so much, we want to get so much information, but that's what your OSCs are for. They're going to build a relationship and they're going to nurture it and they're going to continue to ask great questions and kind of pull that information out of people. So I would definitely shorten it to as bare bones as you can get them. Of course, I'm focusing on forms here, but of course, there's going to be other ways that people can contact you. Phone number, text, live chat. If you're using Facebook Messenger as a tool, I mean, there's going to be multiple ways that people can ask for information. So, however, all of the different channels that you're using to pull leads in, test every single one of them, make sure that they're technically working first. And then second, make them as easy, keep it simple, stupid, to use them as possible. Now, the thing that I think a lot of us miss is because we work in an office or a home office, we generally work at a desktop computer. So we test these things on our desktop computer. 70, 80% of your traffic, particularly if you're really aggressively using paid digital ads, are going to be are going to be using the mobile version. And so are you testing your forms, the look of the form, the size, the length of the form, everything, all the tips I'm about to give you come underneath this umbrella of, are you testing it on mobile? How does it look? How does it work? How easy is it on the mobile version? Because it's just easy to forget that when you're working at a computer most of the time and not thinking like a consumer who's going to be on a mobile device. Okay, so if we can check forms off the list, then our next thing, number 2, that we're going to take a look at is your call to action. Now, call to action can be broken down into 2 things. One, any graphics that you have that visually call to action. A lot of you have OSC graphics where you say, ask a question, contact Sandy, and there's Sandy's headshot and phone number, or texting or live chat. That's when I say a graphic, that's what I mean, that type of thing. And then, of course, there's your call to action verbiage. Now, on both of these things, the biggest thing we have to fight here is being in a rut and sounding like everybody else. Because it's just, if you've done marketing for any amount of time, we just kind of learn more, act now, subscribe today, call us, book a tour, right? It gets a little bit routine. And so I think it's time to put some creativity to work. And of course, your best sales and marketing assistant to give you some creativity would be to use AI. So for example, you could use ChatGPT and you could put in a prompt that says, please rewrite my call to action, rewrite the following call to action verbiage and say to have a tone like, and then fill in the blank, more playful, more creative, or use different wording. You can say, please give me 25 call to action phrases for a home builder website to tour a new home. and it will give you 25 call to action phrases. And some of them will not work at all and they'll sound ridiculous. And you're like, we can't say that. You clearly are a machine. And then some of them will be brilliant and you will never have thought of it. And you're like, oh my gosh, that sounds really great. So I would just encourage you, really, in any of your content creation at this point, now is the time when you need to brainstorm and get out of a rut on any of your messaging, whether you're doing call to action language or floor plan verbiage or any of it. This is where your AI can really be your brainstorming partner. And you keep feeding it information and say, rewrite this and make it sound like this. And then when it gives it back to you, say, no, I don't like that. Please rewrite like this. And I want it to sound more like this. And you just keep going. And you know what? The funny thing about AI is it never rolls its eyes at you. It never sighs deeply. It never does anything like my 16-year-old. No, my 16-year-old son Brady is absolutely precious and he doesn't do those things, but maybe a typical teenager might do, or coworker that's like had it up to here with you asking 25 times to do the same thing the same way. AI never does that. You just keep asking until you get what you want. So let's revisit our call to action. Let's get where you're getting creative with it. And then let's look at the placement of it. And this is old school website design. I mean, this is back to, I've got an original book over my shoulder here. Oh my gosh, I could almost like, oh, I don't see it like right off the bat, but it's the original book about website design from years ago, about Don't Make Me Think was the title of the book. Now you don't go get it. It's way too old. But it taught me a basic principle that is still true today because we test this constantly on pages. And that is that the upper half of the page, particularly the upper right corner, is your strongest real estate on your website page. And that's where your strongest call to action, buttons, graphics, verbiage, forms, all of it has got to go as high up on the page. Hi, welcome to the show. You want to get it as high. Hello.
Hello.
You want to get it as high on the page as possible and let people see that clearly up there. Hey, Carrie, I'm going to let you turn your camera
Yep.
off as soon as you can. So placement and creativity of verbiage. Okay, number 3. Oh, this one's big. The actual page they're landing on. Please don't discount the power of beautiful, compelling, but clear design. I know that we are all so focused on function and usability, and making it clean and simple. I mean, you wouldn't believe I hear that probably 10 or 15 times a day. It's fine. But at the same time, beautiful pictures, stunning pictures that exactly represent the product high up on the page at the top with the call to action right next to it, that immediately tell me this is attached townhome living, this is custom home building, this is build on your lot. I need a compelling product image that tells me in 2 seconds what you are selling me. And it needs to be at the top of the page and it's got to be stunning. I need green grass and blue skies and no dumpsters. And a generic kitchen doesn't help me. If we're sending traffic to a page, if we're trying to send traffic to this page and we are asking them to convert right on this page to learn more about something, then I need a product photo. It's just like if you were to want to buy a new piece of luggage and you were to go to my personal favorite luggage, it's pricey, but when I used to be a road warrior, it was worth every penny, was Briggs and Riley. because you could not destroy it, and they're incredibly, the warranty's great, no, whatever. I went through so many pieces of luggage the years that I traveled, it was ridiculous. So if you were to go buy a piece of Briggs and Riley luggage on the Briggs and Riley website, and you were to click through an ad to get to their carry-on four-wheel spinner, but you landed on the four-wheel spinner page, and instead was a stock image of a woman in an airport, what would you do? You'd leave. You certainly wouldn't buy a piece of luggage. I mean, if you're really dedicated, you might go one more click. But this is what we're up against. We are up against retail that when you click through hopefully the exact product image, multiple product images where the whole bag spins 360 degrees and it opens where I can see the inside of it. It's like I can see all about this. And that's what you got to think more like. Is whatever retail product you want to think of, that's what those community pages, floor plan pages, inventory home pages have got to be like. I click through, I'm going to see the piece of luggage in the best possible looking way. Okay, so please don't forget the beauty of the actual page, the look, the feel of it. We've taken pages and just completely replaced them with a new design. And while design can be hard to qualify in terms of ROI, it isn't once the conversions go through the roof within 30 days, because what they were landing on did not clearly represent what the product was, and it was confusing. Okay. And again, remember, all of this is under the umbrella of check it on mobile. Don't just check it on your desktop to make sure it's working. Okay, now last and not least, number 4, and this is last for a reason. Now I'm ready to talk about traffic. I do not want to talk about spending more money on digital ads or money on SEO or money on social media marketing or an event or anything else until I have checked these basic 3 things. If these 3 things check out and we fix them and we know that we're confident in them, then it's time to look at the traffic. So let's say you have a community page, an inventory homepage. What I have very roughly, big time ballpark, and this, for some of you, this is going to sound so small because you're big national builders. And for some of you, this is going to sound really big and impossible because you're maybe a small local custom builder. So this is kind of hard to ballpark. But in order to begin to see some conversions on a community or inventory homepage, the ballpark that I generally see is you need at least 1,000. Oh, let me back up. 800 unique visitors in 30 days with a total of 1,000 to 1,100 visits in 30 days. If you don't have that much coming to that one community page, that one inventory homepage, you will not begin to see conversions. So far in my experience, like I've been charting this out and getting this down to a spreadsheet so I could really begin to study it. But so far, that's the rough ballpark. Now, again, that is at a minimum. Some of you at the price point and competition level you're at need 2 or 3 times that. But if you are looking at a page and we're talking 50 visitors are getting to a particular inventory home and you're wondering why you have no conversions, it's not enough traffic. So this is where we've got to turn on some paid digital. So some paid Google, some paid social, whatever makes sense, because that's going to ramp up the fastest for you. You can, of course, invest in some SEO, but and you should, but that's going to be a longer term investment that will pay off and is the highest quality of leads you'll get. But if you need an immediate bump, then we got to turn up the paid digital. So your final step is to look at how many unique users are getting to this page and how many visits are getting to this page. And honestly, if it's below that 800 to 1,000 threshold, there's not enough momentum to really make it happen. So we employed all of these 4 things these last 30 days on a particular project, and saw the lead generation go from 2 to 22 for one specific community. And that's, again, that's the first 30 days of us making all of these changes. So we're pretty excited about that. We know now we're on the right track, and we're going to continue to tweak and continue to make some additional changes. But as I'm seeing success with it and continuing to have these conversations, I wanted to pass some of these tips on to you. So to recap, forms, call to action, the landing page itself, and the traffic. And we're going to look at those 4 things, most importantly on mobile. And by the time you diagnose, tweak, and perfect those items, within 30 days, you will have an increase in conversions. If all of that fails you, then we need to have a serious conversation about the product, the price point, or the location. Now, nobody wants to have these conversations because these things are really very changeable. They're hard to change, but maybe we need to reset expectations and take a look at what we can do. Well, and Carrie would say, of course, 4th, sales. We need to look at sales, maybe more training, more development, etc. So that is what I've got for you. So I hope that helps you if you're experiencing that in any of your communities or with any of your inventory. Please, in the chat, we would love for you to share your tips. If you have something that really works for you to boost lead generation when it's sagging or lagging a little bit, we would love to hear from you. Okay, so I am now going to invite the rest of our panel and our featured guests to join me so that we can do our interview. Hey there, Angela. Hey, Carrie again.
Angela again.
That's okay. We know it's really you.
Link issues.
Yeah, and welcome our featured guest today, Abby Moretta.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yay.
Well, I didn't want to do it too long because I don't want to blow everybody's eardrums out, but I could have used my coach voice, right, Carrie? Like my gym voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Abby.
Hi, it's good morning for me, but I know it's good afternoon for others at this point. We've reached that 9 o'clock, 9:30 range.
Yeah.
Different parts of the day.
That's right. Well, we are so glad and thankful that you accepted our invitation to join us today. Yeah, we appreciate it.
How could I not? It's like fangirling with the 3 of you. Very intimidating.
Right?
Well, the feeling is mutual. And I was telling you in the pre-show that I probably had at least 3 different individuals tell me about your session at the Builder Show, which is the topic we're going to share, that you're going to share today. And I had multiple people. I know that you spoke in the Professional Women in Building headquarters, and you did this topic. And yeah, we just had multiple people go, this was such a cool topic. This was so interesting. This was different. And I was like, hello, Builder Town Hall. So we really appreciate it, and we're glad you're here.
Thank you. It's been really interesting to see how this topic has resonated with people and kind of hit a chord.
Because you were telling me that you've done it at other conferences and events. It wasn't like this was the first time at the Builder Show. It just happened to be the one that people have mentioned to us, and we heard about it from there.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It's a great topic. It's got lots of legs, I think, why everybody enjoys it. I mean, how you present it, Abby, is always a big part of it. But I just think that it's like, oh, yeah. And when you've got a topic like that, it works.
Yeah. So we're talking about leadership today, and we're talking about the idea that so many of us love to consume leadership information. We're sponges for it. If it's a TED Talk or the latest book or the latest podcast or guru, we sign up for these master classes and coaching programs, which are awesome and wonderful, but we keep taking in, taking in, taking in. But are we really taking the time, though, instead of just taking information in and consuming it, to use it to really develop ourselves and the people around us? And so this idea, and I put it on the sign behind me, your idea of consumption versus or development is really the heart of this topic. So how did you come to this idea of consumption versus development? How did you end up writing the talk? Like, kind of give us the background scoop.
Yeah, so I think it was through living it and evolving, especially in my role, right? So in learning and development, our goals are always to create behavior change, right? So when I look at my organization, and I don't get to look at L&D from this lens of just I'm just going to consume knowledge and I'm going to be inspired and I'm going to go do all of these things, because I have to earn our seat at the table. So I have to have clear measurements, and I have to be able to show that the investment in L&D and the work that we're doing has ROI. So I started more looking through that lens for myself and realizing that what I was calling leadership development, right? Because I was reading a book a month and doing the TED Talks and going to the conferences, was actually not leadership development. It was leadership consumption.
Mhm.
And one of the, I think, things that people maybe misunderstand about when I talk about this or get it across is that I'm telling people to stop consuming knowledge, which I would never tell anybody to stop consuming knowledge. I think the idea is becoming more aware of, do I just want to consume right now, right? I'm just looking for people to pour into me. I'm looking for ideas I want to explore, but let's not mistake that with the idea of leadership development and what learning and development really is. What I always tell people is you haven't learned until you've changed. So up until the point that
Mm.
you've changed your behavior,
Mm.
you're just acquiring the knowledge. And we all know, right? The old saying is knowledge is power, but that's not really reality. Applied knowledge is power. So what are you doing with that knowledge? So I just started doing all of the research, understanding the statistics, how much money we spend in this industry of leadership development, the types of programs that our organizations put us through, the investments we make, and realizing that the reason it's still this multi-billion-dollar industry and we're not feeling like we're getting out of it what we need, and that our engagement surveys and our employees are telling us that our leaders need more development, is because we're actually not doing leadership development. We're just consuming this knowledge and
Mhm.
having our people consume this knowledge.
Do you think for some people that consuming it is a bit of checking a box, where maybe for others it is kind of an insatiable desire to take it in, and the best of intentions to use it, but it's hard to actually use it? It's easier just to keep taking it in, sign up for another course, buy another book. And then I do think for other people, they're expected to do something from their work, or their boss says you've got to do something or this or that. And it is a bit of a, check the box. What do you think?
I agree. I do think it's a bit of a check the box. I think it's both of those things. And funny enough, I think it's a little bit of an addiction.
Uh-huh.
Because in the moment that we do these things, it feels good.
It
I don't know if
does.
anyone else has ever described themselves this way. I know I do, but I'm a personal development junkie. Like, I've heard that phrase. And
Mhm.
I see at the beginning of the year, right, Carrie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the
Yeah,
beginning
for
of the year,
sure.
I see people post, I have a goal, I'm going to read 24 books this year. And, you're going to do all of these things. So it is this addiction. And I think it's because, especially when we can find really quality content and great speakers, it's how we feel in that moment and that chemical release, and we're inspired. And so we want to keep feeling that.
Right.
But to truly develop and learn, we've got to sometimes maybe draw a line and go, okay, now I'm going to do something with this. And it is hard because nobody's talked to you about a process that you can put in place behind that, so that you have a strategy to actually develop it.
See, in that, Abby, I think, and we've had lots of conversations about this, you and I, we've spoken together, we've done all of this, but I think that when I get asked, and when I have used, your words, since I've heard them on the consumption part, everybody always kind of says that so that they don't just stay consuming, but how do I not just consume? And I like to tell people that one of the things is, as you're consuming, because I'm a big note taker, I said, take notes that are resonating with you, because your own notes is your personal Bible to success. And if you just keep listening, that's what you're doing, is consuming. But sometimes if you take the notes, what you've note taken on is what you believe to be true, and then it's easier to apply.
I love that. And that's part of that kinetic learning, right? That we do remember things better because we're hearing it, it's filtering through our brain, and then it's going through a physical aspect of our body, and we're writing it down. But I love how you put that you're filtering through your lens that information and going, this is what I want to get out of what that person just said.
Right. And it's, if you compared notebooks across a room that are all consuming at the same time, it would be really interesting, because there are going to be some commonalities, but there's going to be, oh my gosh, like when I'm done training, one of the things that I do is go around the room and, what was your best takeaway? Because what I realize is, when someone's writing, they're missing something. When someone gets an aha, it didn't necessarily that person, but then they get it. So much goes on in the review of consumption. And that's what I love about all the stuff that you do.
And the collaboration is key, because I think when we sometimes consume to validate, I feel, we consume to sort of validate what we feel is,
Yes.
maybe I'm being a little too transparent here.
Yeah.
No, that's perfect.
But I feel like
have to
sometimes,
be.
but I feel like sometimes, our key takeaway is something that we just really believe in. Right. Whereas, and I think it's really important then, to your point, Carrie, to collaborate with what others are seeing as important, because it does make us kind of go, okay, that's a little different. And I need to take note of that.
Everybody spins. I bet you see that, Abby. And so you do, when you do your sessions and your summits and your conferences and everything that you do with groups, smaller groups of people, you see so many different perspectives, right? How do you bring all those perspectives together so that it's a learning time for everybody that's in that room?
I think it's very similar to what you guys were talking about. It creates the collaboration, and you turn it into coaching, in a coaching moment when you get to that point. And we all know, Carrie, right? Everyone on here is a coach. That coaching is less about giving them the information and more about getting them to come up with the information and asking questions and get the answers. So when you start seeing, if you're leading, whether it's a sales meeting or it's a true training, it's a development within your organization, or you're participating, once you start that review and that collaboration, start asking questions and get people to dig into that further and open up, so that they can now kind of come up with some of those answers and see how that content begins to resonate in their real context. And that's a big key too, is when we're acquiring knowledge, or when we're seeing a speaker, right? We have to create information that's going to apply across the board. But then for you to develop from that information, you need to figure out how to have those conversations about how it comes to fruition in real life. And I think that collaboration and helping people have those conversations together and step back allows even further learning to happen through them.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And you know, as you just brought up, and we've got a lot of sales managers that are in on our town hall. So we've got a lot of our sales managers and a lot of the sales people of those sales managers. And when you talk about that and how do you get that collaborating, and when you like have a litmus test, how are we doing? And you ask some questions, um, that's where the learning really comes, when you made it a safe environment to ask questions and give opinions. And that's where that consumption of all that comes to be, don't you think?
No, I agree. Absolutely.
Mhm. I think that we actually, as if you're a leader conducting a sales meeting or you're a speaker doing a presentation, you actually can share a lot less content than you think, and plan or try to give time for people to have that opportunity to speak and brainstorm and begin to take it in and apply it and help pull them out
Yeah,
so they can talk. Those have been some of the best sessions I ever had or did, were when I planned for that time, but whoever's leading the discussion has to plan for that time because it's time consuming. And if you're given a short amount of time, our natural instinct is to fill it with content. but
yeah.
now we're just feeding the consumption. We're not feeding the development.
Yeah, you know, Abby, when you've got a group, and we've also talked about this, when you get up, when you leave that time, like Meredith said, to do that, and we used to be kind of afraid that if you ask a question, it's going to be that down the rabbit hole with that one person that really had a one-off statement to make, not really a question. You're like, I'm not going to open up that Pandora's box. I think now in learning is really becoming a thing, like really learning, really growing, really getting better. That the question that someone typically asks is the same question somebody else had. Did the dog just jump up?
My favorite person is now on camera. Sorry, guys.
I
Sorry,
tried to
ladies.
keep him at my feet.
I
Sorry.
love you, but I'm just so happy the dog is here on camera.
He just loves that spot during
Well,
this.
it's a really good spot.
Sorry,
So
Abby.
cute. No,
No.
so cute. So
When I
cute.
saw all you guys laugh, I
You knew exactly what
knew
happened.
what had just happened.
We're like, the dog is here.
It's a very developed dog. He's
He's-
So, Abby, how would we go about focusing on reducing consumption and increasing our impact and our development? How would we go about doing that?
So the first is to actually take learning development very seriously and as part of your strategy and your business, and to think of it that way. So to me, L&D is a key part of any business's strategy to achieve profits, to move their business forward, and to have employee engagement. And so to think of yourself as a mini L&D leader, right? And yourself as a business, and put that same amount of effort into it. And so the first thing is to create a strategy. When you are looking at your business for the year, your goals, the things you want to accomplish, you don't just say, okay, here's what I'm going to do and good luck, right? Hope for the
Yeah.
best. You have strategies. You sit with your team and you write it out. And when you go to your leader with a strategy, or you say, we're going to increase sales by this, we're going to increase profit like this, we're going to, increase our website traffic here. The first question someone is going to ask you is, okay, how, and what are you going to do different? So you really go through a process of creating a strategy. So I recommend that as you look to the beginning of a year, or maybe create part of your strategy is to go, okay, for the first few months of the year, I'm going to explore and I'm going to consume. And I'm going to do that with intention, though, so that I can figure out what is the thing I actually want to work on this year and why. Why do I want to work on that thing? Is it going to help me in my business? Is it going to help me in my personal life? And for most things, it takes time to change a behavior, to create a habit, to put these things into implementation. So give yourself that time, but create a strategy like you would anything else, and start to think about what are all the things you're going to do the rest of the year or over a quarter, right? Whatever time frame you want to give yourself to accomplish this goal, to build on developing that skill. And part of a strategy is a follow-up plan. So I think that's the other thing we don't always think about, whether we're developing ourselves or we're creating development for our teams. We tend to do a better job of it in sales than we do in any other department or with anybody else, because we have a sales methodology and we go and we create follow-up and we, do something in a sales meeting and then role play with them in the models. So take that same concept and bring it to yourself or your other team members. So if you create a training, a development plan, if you're bringing in a coach to work with your teams, make sure that part of your strategy is the follow-up plan. So I'm in the midst of planning a leadership summit for our leaders at my company, but I'm not just planning 2.5 days of content. I'm planning what they're going to do for 90 days post that summit. So if you're putting leadership conferences, sales conferences together for your people, don't forget about how are you going to reinforce and then ensure that behavior changes post event. So creating a strategy is the first thing. And then you have to commit to implement it. Learning and development is an inside job. Everybody can pour into you. You can go attend things like this, you can go to conferences, you can read books, and you can get all of this knowledge poured into you. But really the only person who can make the commitment and be in control of your behavior changing and you learning something is you. So commit to that implementation, so that just like you would any other skill you're doing. And I think when we think about personal development, we somehow get out of, if I want to learn to cook, if I want to learn an instrument, right? You know that you can't just watch a YouTube video and be a master chef afterwards. You have to go cook.
Oh, very, very true. Very true. At least in my case. Maybe other people can, but not this girl.
But I think sometimes we think if we just read something or watch something, like through osmosis, we're going to turn around and be that great leader afterwards. And that's not the case. So we have to really take all of that theory and all of those anecdotes that we hear from other people, and we have to put them into application. And we have to do them over and over and over, because we don't necessarily, yes, Steve, you have to put in the reps, right?
That's a great
way
of putting it, Steve.
And one of the things I tell people is don't focus so much on building a leadership skill as you do on building a leadership habit. Because when something's a habit, we do it without thinking. And it just becomes a part of how we deal with our people on a daily basis without having to think, oh, I should have said this. Okay, in this moment, I have to coach this way, right? Once you've actually built that learning and truly changed your behavior, now it's just what you do and how you do it.
Yeah, no, and so true on that. And I think that what we need to understand is that we can't do it all at once. It's like when I talk about unpacking your suitcase from the builder show, you've got your clothes and your laundry and all of that to unpack, but you've got all of those ideas and you have to know how to unpack the suitcase of what you read, what you consume, because in creating that new habit, you can't be trying 3 things at once and get 3 habits in 90 days.
Do you all,
I mean,
do you, Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to use the analogy of running as far as, because I do run, and it's like somebody who says they're going to run a marathon and they've never run a 5 or a 10K or a
Yeah.
half marathon. You have to take those steps, and you've got to you've got to have the foundation in order to grow.
Yeah.
So you used an analogy of running, whereas I was going to say it's like going to a buffet. So I was going to use an analogy of eating, of consuming,
Yeah.
which is why you look like you and I currently look like me.
Oh,
And I was gonna say, let's say Meredith goes to the Las Vegas buffet, and what did
yeah.
our moms always used to say to us? Your eyes are bigger than your stomach, and
Yeah.
we would pull all the stuff
All of it.
onto the tray, and one dish in, we were already full, and we couldn't eat the fries and the chocolate cake and all the things that we pulled off the buffet, because when we went down it, we felt the high, we felt the excitement, the pleasure of all of these exciting choices, right?
Yeah.
And I just think we do the same thing with ourselves with the best of intentions. We just think, oh, I need to work on that, and I need to work on that, and I need to do this, and my team needs this. And so, and it goes, and it goes, and it goes. But what you're really saying is, how are you processing that information? Do you
Yeah.
have a processing habit or strategy or steps or something?
And I think it's the biggest mistake in all of this that I see people make and leaders and organizations make. And it goes kind of back to checking that box too, because we think if we just offer and do all of these things, that's going to make people happy. But I do think people also get burnt out a little by too much coming at them. And then the investment you're making isn't giving you the ROI. And so actually the biggest thing when it comes to this that you need to have is patience, and realize that if you are looking at your year, at your quarter, and you're creating a development program or a development strategy, how much is really there? You can't be like, all right, Q1, we're doing this, Q2, we're doing this, next week, we're doing that, because you're not going to help your team actually build the skill or make the change. So take a look at, where are your gaps? And again, let's have some real strategy. Let's tie these skills back to business needs, business processes, or ways we want to improve as a human, or be a better parent, or be a better spouse, or be a better friend, and kind of say, okay, I'm not going to stop consuming because it's fun and it's inspirational. I'm going to do these things, but I'm going to be aware and honest with myself that this is consumption. But when it comes to development, 2 things. That's all I'm going to focus on this year. And it feels really strange to people, and we don't have the patience. But the reality is, if you reduce what you want to learn or what you're giving to your team to learn in that year, you're going to see much bigger strides. You're going to see the ROI, and then next year you take on something else. So just think about those programs. And I played with that through these retreats that I've been doing, that Carrie kind of talked about, these conferences with these small groups. Because if you think about, if you go somewhere for 2.5 days, right? We've all been to the conferences. How much content do we get in 2 days? How many speakers are we going to sit through, right? Rather saying, okay, we have 2 days, and at most, I'm going to give you 3 coaches, and we're going to spend hours on this thing, because the idea is not to just consume content in that moment. It's to actually have a very small ball of information that we're going to work on and we're going to develop over this time. But that takes a lot of patience. And like you said, we have this list of all these things we want to accomplish, or we want to learn, and we want to grow. And so we're just checking that box. But
everything is better with a little bit of time. I mean, even if you think about, so here's a weird one. This just came, spaghetti sauce. I'll go to food with you, Meredith. Is it if you don't have very much time and you whip up some spaghetti sauce and you throw it on noodles and you go, here you go. They're like, but if you have made it and let it simmer and everything come together, then people go, this is really good. And the only difference is that you let it simmer and you let it collect, you know, the different combinations of everything fit together to meld into that. So I think that's why, and I like just bite off two. It's just a really good number. It won't keep you on one too long because you'll have to move, but it won't have you looking ahead. So you slight this one. I really like that because it's tangible. And for everybody on here, they love to bite something and chew it and do it. I would take that, Abby. And then I also had one really quick thing that we have talked about, and I would like you to talk a second about, is that leadership is not a role in an org chart. It is not something that you do to someone. It is something that you do with other people and with yourself. Speak to that a little bit, because you're really helpful on that.
It is. It's something that you are. So if you try to start thinking of leadership less like a title, a job, a role, or to, even when we say, okay, you don't have to have a title to be a leader, you don't have to have people report to you to be a leader. But think about all of the other qualities that we have or that we focus on, like empathy, compassion, right? Leadership is the same thing. It is just a human quality. It is a way that you show up, and it is the way that you impact and serve people around you. And that's, for me, is one of my definitions of leadership. Is it's just, how am I impacting? Simon Sinek says this a lot too. How am I impacting the people to my left, the people to my right? How am I helping other people reach their potential and see what's within them? And if you're just trying too hard to lead someone or give them advice, like you said, leadership isn't something you do to somebody. It's the way that you are and how you show up and how you actually care that then influences everyone around you to rise up as well. And
that's what I love. You just said it again. How you show up determines if people look at you as a leader, feel like you're someone that they want to be led by and with. That person that shows up defines what people get out of the experience, I think.
I just had a conversation with someone, and they said, the way they said it really resonated with me, is leadership isn't necessarily about getting people to want to follow you, but actually getting people to want to walk right beside you. Right. And sometimes those people are going to get out in front of you, but we think about leadership as, okay, right, we're going to inspire people. People want to get up and they want to follow me, but I want them to want to walk like big line right beside me through whatever we're going through.
Guide.
Before we
which comes first, guide or lead?
before we sign off, I want you to hit just quickly on this idea of calculating ROI. And then I want you just to briefly tell everybody about you and your company so they understand that. And then it'll be time. I can't believe it. It's flown by. But yeah, how do we calculate that ROI piece?
So really the same way you would do anything else, you have to be able to measure results, which means you need a baseline. So those are just honest conversations with yourself or with your team. We shouldn't just be doing development for the sake of development. You should be able to recognize, where are my gaps and what in developing this skill or this piece of leadership is going to have an effect in the business on the other people. Am I going to get more out of my people? Am I going to be able to contribute to profits, right? But the reason I know that I need to develop this is this baseline. Then go measure your results at the end. Come up at the beginning with what that return on investment would look like. If I was better here, if I was a greater leader, right? Here's what I'd be able to accomplish. Did you accomplish it? Can you measure those results? And now you're able to see, yes, there is ROI on this.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that.
Thank you.
All right. And so tell everybody about your company and what you all do. And then I have a little special guest and then we're done. We're good. So
Yeah, absolutely. So I do like probably almost everybody here. I do work for a builder. I love being part of the builder community. I'm a VP of Learning and Development, but I have, as you do, Meredith, a passion project, and that is the Entrepreneur Project. And so we bring personal and professional development together. I do focus highly on women and helping women create these strategies and move forward in their career, and kind of blend together the idea that we aren't work Abby and I'm not home Abby. I'm one human. And I have to be able to bring all of these things together. And so I host 2 retreats a year and I put content out. I have a podcast called Leading from All Sides. So lots of ways to engage with me. But the Entrepreneur Project, we host 2 in-person small women's retreats a year to kind of
Love
help
that.
that development happen.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So here's since Croy made
Okay.
an appearance, everybody.
Oh, look at Abby's gonna get one. Now we need Monty.
This is my
Bella.
busy little girl. This is Bella.
Oh, look at this.
Hi, look, there's your little baby.
Where's Monty?
Bella needs a haircut so bad. Her groomers went to see the eclipse. So she's a week overdue, so we can't see her eyes.
Oh, I love it.
She's a sweet girl. She's busy though. She's real busy. Okay. So and her favorite person just went that way. So now she's concentrated on him. Thank you, everybody. I hope that you got as much out of this as I did. I know that the minute she said focus on 2 things, my brain immediately went, thank you.
This is your permission.
I literally felt my brain go relief. So I hope you felt some relief. At Builder Town Hall, our goal is to earn the opportunity to be one of your 2 things that you do consume. And so we love that you take the time to join us, particularly those of you that make it live. See, she's busy. We appreciate it and we love you all. And we'll keep bringing you awesome content like this. So we will be back with you on the first Friday of May, May the 3rd. I will have been married 26 years that day. What? Woo!
Wow.
I know. And I think I'm going to re-up. So it's looking good. It's looking really good.
Hey, Alan. She's gonna re-up.
Yeah, look at him.
Yeah. Wow.
I know. Mwah. Thank you guys. We appreciate you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Abby, for sharing what you
Thanks,
shared
Abby.
today. It was beautiful and useful and meaningful and all of the awesome things all at one time.
And
So
simple, consumable, simple and consumable.
but we will be developed by it. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.